My name is Evelyn Moore. I'm 46 from Manchester. For 25 years, I believed my marriage was built on love, loyalty, and trust. My husband, Daniel, was my best friend, my safe place. At least that's what I thought, until one evening while folding laundry, I discovered something that shattered me forever. A secret bank account. Receipts from hotels I had never been to. And then, a message from a woman calling him my love. In that moment, my entire world collapsed, and I realized the man I trusted for decades was living a double life. Stay with me, because what I uncovered next will leave you speechless and him destroyed. For years, I painted the picture of a perfect marriage. We had 2 children, a cozy home, and memories built on holidays, anniversaries, and laughter around the dinner table. Everyone envied us. My friends often said, "You're so lucky, Evelyn. Daniel is such a devoted husband." And I believed them. Daniel was charming, hardworking, and attentive. He never forgot my birthday, always brought me flowers on anniversaries, and kissed me on the forehead before leaving for work. To me, he was the definition of commitment. But it was a quiet Tuesday evening when the first crack appeared. I was putting away his freshly ironed shirts when an envelope slipped out of his jacket pocket. Inside were hotel receipts, expensive suites booked in London. At first, I thought, maybe it's business. But something didn't sit right. Why would a sales manager need to book luxury hotels on weekends? I tucked the receipts back, pretending nothing happened. But that night, I couldn't sleep. The doubts began to eat me alive. Days later, while Daniel was in the shower, his phone buzzed. Normally, I respected his privacy. But my trembling hand picked it up. A message glowed on the screen. "Can't wait to see you again, love. Last night was unforgettable." My chest tightened. My hands went cold. The world around me blurred as if I had been pushed underwater. For 25 years, I had trusted this man with my heart, my body, my children, and in return, he gave me lies. When Daniel walked out of the bathroom, wrapped in a towel, I forced a smile, hiding my rage and tears. He kissed me as if nothing had changed, but deep down, I knew everything had. And that was the moment I decided I would uncover the whole truth. No matter how painful it would be, the message haunted me all night. I stared at the ceiling, hearing Daniel's calm breathing beside me while my mind screamed with questions. Who was she? How long had this been going on? And worst of all, was I blind for 25 years? The next morning, I decided to act. I wasn't going to confront him blindly. No, I needed proof. Evidence so strong that even Daniel's silver tongue couldn't twist it into another lie. I started small. While he was at work, I searched through his office drawer at home. Bills, business papers, and then, there it was again. A credit card statement with charges from expensive restaurants I'd never been to. 2 dinners, on the same day he told me he was working late. My stomach churned. I wanted to scream, but instead I copied the details quietly. Then I remembered something. Daniel never went anywhere without his laptop bag. He guarded it like a treasure chest. So, one evening, while he was in the garden taking a call, I opened it. My hands shook as I scrolled through his files, and then I froze. Hidden in a folder labeled invoices were photographs. Daniel, smiling at dinner with a woman half my age, her hand on his cheek. Their arms wrapped around each other like newlyweds. My world collapsed again. I sat there trembling, clutching the laptop, when Daniel walked back inside. I slammed it shut just in time. He looked at me with a puzzled expression and asked, "Everything okay, Eve?" I forced a smile and whispered, "Yes, everything's fine." But inside, nothing was fine. Inside, I was burning. That night, I made a decision. I would follow him. I had to see with my own eyes where he went when he said he was working late. The following Friday, I lied. I told him I was going to visit my sister. Instead, I waited outside his office building, parked in the shadows. Hours passed. Finally, I saw him leave, not in his usual direction home, but toward the city. My heart pounded as I followed, street after street, until he stopped in front of a luxury apartment. A young woman rushed out to greet him, wrapping her arms around him like she owned him. And right there, under the city lights, I saw the truth unfold before my eyes. I froze in my car seat. gripping the steering wheel so tightly that my knuckles turned white. There he was, my husband of 25 years, kissing another woman like I never existed. For a moment, my heart wanted to deny it. Maybe she was just a colleague. Maybe it was innocent. But when Daniel picked her up in his arms and carried her inside like a groom crossing a threshold, all my excuses shattered. Tears blurred my vision, but rage burned brighter. I felt like my entire life had been stolen from me, a cruel performance staged by the man I trusted most. I drove home in silence, numb yet boiling. The walls of our house suddenly felt like a prison of lies. Every photograph of us smiling mocked me. Every memory felt fake. But as the night deepened, a strange clarity replaced my pain. Daniel thought he was clever. He thought I'd remain the loyal, blind wife forever. He was wrong. The next morning, I began my quiet preparation. I didn't scream. I didn't confront him yet. Instead, I became an actress in my own house, smiling when he walked in, serving him dinner, listening to his small talk. He never suspected that behind my calm face, I was building my revenge. I opened a secret journal, writing down every suspicious detail, dates, receipts, late-night calls, the apartment address. I even contacted a private investigator. "Follow my husband," I whispered over the phone. "Bring me everything." Days turned into weeks, and soon I had a thick file of evidence. Pictures of Daniel dining with her, holding her hand, entering hotels. All the while, he came home and kissed me goodnight as if nothing was wrong. One evening, as I watched him laugh at the dinner table, a chilling thought struck me. Did he ever truly love me? Or was I just a convenient mask for his secret life? I poured myself a glass of wine, staring at the man across from me. He noticed my gaze and smirked. "What's wrong, Eve? You've been quiet lately." I smiled softly and replied, "Oh, nothing, Daniel. I'm just thinking about the future." But inside, my plan was already in motion. If he wanted a secret life, then I would give him a secret ending he'd never see coming. The private investigator's report lay open on my desk like a dagger aimed straight at my heart. Names, addresses, photographs, all the proof of Daniel's double life. But instead of breaking me, every page gave me power. For 25 years, I had been the silent wife, the one who forgave his late nights at work, his vague explanations, his sudden business trips. Now I was done playing that role. I wasn't just going to confront him. I was going to destroy the world he had built in secret. First, I visited our lawyer without Daniel knowing. Calmly, I laid the file on the table. "I need to know my options," I said. The lawyer scanned the documents, whistled softly, and replied, "With this evidence, you could take everything. The house, the assets, even his reputation. Affairs this public, he won't stand a chance in court." I walked out of that office feeling a strange thrill. For once, I wasn't powerless. But revenge isn't only about law, it's about timing. That weekend, Daniel suggested a family dinner. Our daughter Emma was flying in from college, and he wanted everything perfect. He didn't know I was planning the performance of my life. The table was set, candles flickering, laughter filling the air. Daniel played the doting husband, carving roast chicken and pouring wine. He kissed my cheek as though we were still the perfect couple. And then I struck. "Emma," I said sweetly, "did you know your father has another family, another woman?" The room went silent. Daniel's fork clattered onto his plate. Emma's eyes widened. "What are you talking about, Mom?" she whispered. I slid the file across the table. Pictures spilled out, her father hand in hand with the other woman, laughing in restaurants, entering hotels. Emma covered her mouth, tears welling. Daniel stammered, "Eve, this is insane." But I cut him off. "Don't you dare lie again, not tonight." The look on his face, shock, fear, shame, was the first victory I had tasted in years. That night, he slept in the guest room, and I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, realizing this was just the beginning. Daniel thought his secret life was hidden. Now, it was about to become his public downfall. Morning light crept into the house, but the warmth of it couldn't touch the icy silence between us. Daniel avoided my eyes at breakfast, sipping his coffee as if nothing had happened. But I saw the tremor in his hands, the tightness in his jaw. He was cornered, and he knew it. Emma hadn't spoken to him since the dinner. Her disappointment was sharper than any words I could have hurled. Watching her turn away from her father gave me the strength I needed to finish what I'd started. I contacted the woman from the photos. Her name was Sophie Turner, younger than me by nearly 15 years. I called her from a blocked number, my voice steady. "Enjoying my husband, Sophie?" I asked coldly. There was silence, then a nervous laugh. "Who is this?" "His wife," I spat. "The real one, and let me tell you something, your little secret ends now." She hung up, but the fear in her voice told me she hadn't expected me to fight back. Good, let her squirm. The next step was social. I had spent years building a reputation in our community, organizing charity events, hosting dinners, volunteering. Daniel had always basked in the glow of being seen as the perfect husband. I was going to use that image to bury him. At the next community fundraiser, I showed up alone, smiling brightly. When people asked about Daniel, I handed them a neatly sealed envelope. Inside, copies of the investigators' photos, his double life, his lies, laid bare for everyone. By the end of the night, whispers spread like wildfire. The man who had once been admired was now the subject of scandal. When I returned home, Daniel was waiting in the living room, his face pale. "Why are you doing this to me?" he asked, voice breaking. I looked him straight in the eyes. "You destroyed us years ago, Daniel. I'm just showing the world who you really are." For the first time in decades, he had no reply. No excuses, just silence. And in that silence, I realized something. This wasn't just revenge anymore. It was liberation. The house felt like a battlefield after my public reveal. Daniel barely spoke, and when he did, his words dripped with anger and desperation. But the more he tried to repair his image, the deeper he sank. His colleagues distanced themselves. Our friends stopped calling. Even his family, once so proud of him, avoided his shame. One evening, Emma sat with me at the kitchen table, her eyes glistening. "Mom," she whispered, "thank you for showing me the truth. I thought Dad was a hero, but now I know you're the strong one." Her words healed a wound I didn't realize was bleeding. For years, I had let Daniel define my worth. Now, my daughter saw me for who I truly was, a woman who refused to be broken. Daniel, on the other hand, was unraveling. I found him one night sitting in the dark, clutching an empty glass. "You've ruined everything," he muttered. "No, Daniel," I replied softly but firmly. "You ruined everything. I just stopped covering for you." The final blow came weeks later. Sophie, the woman he'd betrayed me with, filed a harassment claim against him at work when he refused to let go. His career collapsed overnight. The man who once stood tall as a respected architect was left with nothing but his lies. I filed for divorce the next morning. For the first time in 25 years, I signed my name with a steady hand, free from his shadow. At court, when the judge finalized our separation, Daniel tried to look at me, but I didn't flinch. I walked out of that building lighter than I had ever felt. That night, Emma and I sat on the porch, the stars above us clear and endless. She leaned her head on my shoulder. "Mom, we'll be okay, right?" I smiled, truly smiled for the first time in decades. "We already are." As the cool night air wrapped around us, I realized this wasn't just an ending. It was a beginning, a new life where my voice, my choices, and my freedom finally mattered. Daniel had thought he could live two lives, but in the end, I only needed one, mine.